boldip.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Bold Inventor Show. I'm your host, JD Houvener, with my trusty co-host, Matt Kulseth.
Hello.
Hey, hello out there, inventors, entrepreneurs, business owners. Are those just curious about bold patents and the patent show here, the Bold Inventor Show? We've got a really fun guest waiting backstage, as you see by the title, Reinventing the Cup Holder. And I'm excited to see that. So but I want to catch up with you, Matt. How you been?
Good. Just crazy busy. Spring break last week, took the kids. My wife and I took the kids out to Colorado, went skiing for the week. Had a ton of fun. No one got hurt.
Oh, that's amazing. Good.
But yeah, no, just back home paying the cost. So.
But you're right here on the Bold Inventor Show because this is where
100%. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, man. How you been?
I've been pretty good. Yeah, doing good. Just working pretty busy. We had the busiest March, I think, that I can remember. We had a slow Feb, and then just everybody let loose in March.
Super slow February.
Yeah. So it's so good.
I know. It's good.
Yeah, I think the entrepreneurial spirit is still alive and well. You know, certainly a lot of economic uncertainty, all that, blah blah blah. But people got to live, and we got to innovate, and it's such a uplifting thing to see a lot of clients come in looking for help with patent searching, application drafting, and as you know, trademark work as well. So we got a fun show today. Like I said, I got an awesome inventor, Scott McIntosh, with Cell Phone Seat. He's got a really cool product we're going to show off in about 10 minutes.
Cool.
We had just a wave of questions come in from our Reddit and Quora group. Amira has been mining those. So we'll kick things off. Gosh, we have like 20 questions. I've not had a chance to screen these, but I'll try to look for short and sweet ones.
Okay.
Let's tee one up for you, sir. This one looks like kind of a fun one. The band question.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And again, for anyone out there, quick disclaimer, this is just legal information. We're answering questions, nothing confidential, no specific legal advice. And this guy. So here it is. I'm putting together a band, and I want to name it Ladyland. Now, the problem is there's a Jimi Hendrix album with the name Electric Ladyland. I checked the trademark sites and found that basically that in our music, could there be a problem with the name on its own? Oh, and our music doesn't imitate Hendrix in any way, or is any similar? So
that's fine.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Hey, all right.
Well, I mean, so I haven't searched the USPTO. I haven't looked to see if anything's registered. That would be a likelihood of confusion. But if that's your largest concern, is that there's a Hendrix album from 40, 50, 60 years ago, 60 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
That is titled Electric Ladyland. And you want to name your band Ladyland. I don't have a concern with that at all. The Electric Ladyland album is not really functioning as a trademark. I mean, I guess it's a trademark for the collection of those songs, but I doubt it's registered as a federal trademark. So I don't have any concerns with that whatsoever. Ladyland should be good to go. Just have your attorney do a quick search at the USPTO to verify there's no other bands or music producers out there using that name. A couple things about the music industry and our clients in it. Typically, you're going to want to look at like two different classes of services or products when you're filing the trademarks. One's going to be like that live entertainment class, so class 41 application at the USPTO, music performances, all that kind of stuff is covered in there. And then you'll also want to look at the sound recordings themselves. So generally speaking, you want to register the sound recordings as a federal trademark as well under your brand name.
That's awesome. Thank you, Matt. If I turn that question up a little bit, let's say that album just released last year by a different famous artist. Would that change your answer?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
The fact that it was a long time ago isn't necessarily germane.
I don't think so. I mean, because, the album could be registered as a federal trademark, but then it's providing like the music recordings of the album, but that's different than like a live or a musician who has a band name, right? That's over here doing live music performances. I'd want to see like a more compelling fact pattern before I made a decision that was verboten or out of bounds.
Yeah, that's great. Good. All right, I've got one here from Quora on the patent side. This one is about timeline. What's the average time it takes to obtain an international design patent? It's a very specific question. I will say there is no such thing as a single international design patent. You
Yep.
do have to register them in each country, just like you do on the trademark side, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But what's cool is there are treaties set up on the utility patent side. It's called the Patent Cooperation Treaty. On the design side, it's the Hague Agreement, HAGUE, for industrial designs. And it's the way it works is you submit an application naming your home country, and then one examiner will represent the whole world or those that have signed on to the treaty. And that part saves you time and money, not having to do the search costs at each country. Assuming it's novel, then you can proceed to file. Maybe you need to convert the application, follow the specific rules of the country, maybe get a hold of a local attorney in that country to file it and follow their specific rules. But yeah, that's the path. In terms of timeline, design patents are a whole lot faster than utility because design patents are really, for the most part, about the drawings. Yeah. And there's a lot less to fuss about. Don't get me wrong, some of them are quite particular and can take a while, but I would say a year to 2 years, to get some rights within, internationally. Depends on how many countries, of course, but I hope that helps answer that question. Trademark wise, international, are some other countries faster now than the U.S.? I mean, what are some issues there?
All of them.
What's happening?
I don't know. This is not great. I was just looking at I had to email a client today some bad news about we had to refile for a trademark application for a variety of reasons, but yeah, it's frustrating. There's a lot of young examiners out there at the USPTO right now, which is great. It's just maybe a little bit more mentorship. Maybe someone should be looking over their shoulder before they issue all these crazy office actions. So
yeah, and they're supposed to be attorneys. In fact, they are.
Yeah,
they passed a bar exam.
I'm sure they're all very smart people, but for whatever reason, like a lot of times, logic doesn't seem to make a lot of the logic doesn't apply at the USPTO sometimes. So like I'll just give you a quick example. I mean, I'll try to make it as quick as possible. We had a client, not a Bold, but we had a client basically that had to refile the trademark application. We took over the trademark registration. It's time to renew the trademark. The application was filed too broadly. So we got dinged basically for having to bring the application back in smaller. They had a lot of products that they weren't actually selling. Eventually, the USPTO said, this trademark is basically dead. We don't think that you actually went to market with any of these products. So we had to refile the trademark application. But, the client's been around for the last 15 years.
Crazy.
Well, while our trademark was registered, another trademark under a similar name was registered as well. USPTO didn't catch it. So that trademark registers. We file a new trademark application. But before we file our trademark application, another trademark application is filed for a similar name.
Oh, no.
That application is allowed to register. The third-party trademark that was filed during our old trademarks time period was not cited against it. Our client comes along, we refile the application, and now both applications, one registration, one application, are cited against our client. It's like, no, that makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. So, anyways, that's the logic you get at the USPTO, but they don't care. They don't want to hear it.
That's a mess. And
it's not fair. That's the problem. It's just not fair, right?
And the business owners pay. They have to hire you to do a lot more.
Because I'm going to have to cancel the one registration now because they won't talk to me. The third party won't respond. Yep. And we're going to have to oppose this other application now too. And neither of these third parties are from the United States. So it makes dealing with them a lot harder. All
right, let's take one more question each, and we'll bring our guest on here, Matt. This one's going back to you. Okay, hi there. My partner and I are currently traveling. I've been making social media channels to document our travels for family and friends. I highly doubt any of our channels will gain traction, but can there be any legal repercussions for using a brand name in our handles in the event that we somehow gain visibility? It goes viral, right? Our channel name is popular outdoor shoe brand and a word that rhymes with it. This question is probably OTT. I'm not sure what that means, but that's probably wondering. So over the top.
I'm too old to understand what that acronym means.
Over the top, or just
over the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. Someone may be thinking they're going to go viral with their travel, right? The dropping brand names. Repercussions, Matt?
Yeah, potentially. Like as a trademark owner, you have like the right to publicity of your own brand, right? And so if someone's playing off your brand or making a false association between their entertainment channel and your shoe company, then there could be, questions about whether or not the channel is sponsored by the shoe company, in which case you might have some issues with that third party. Also can't likely register it depending on how well known the company is. So like I'm thinking if it's Nike, for example, and we tried to go register something kind of related to Nike at the USPTO for like travel entertainment, they're just going to say no. They're going to be like, no, that's a famous brand, right? You can't do that. So
okay, but I think they're asking, they're doing, they're talking about some awesome hike they just did, and I don't know, for whatever reason, whatever their commentary is so cool and fascinating, they get, 1 billion downloads and happen to have a very visible shoe with a logo on it in the video clip.
Oh, that's fine.
All good. So Nike, even though it's very visible on that clip, it gets 1 billion downloads, whatever views and lots of attention, and they could get, affiliate marketing deals and monetize that viewership somehow. Is Nike going to be able to come back and say, actually, you probably got some of those views because of the recognition of our trademark? I mean, I don't know.
So, right? You have to really look at that fact pattern, right? Figure out what's fair use of the brand, what's promoting the brand. If there's a financial play there between like the sales of the company and their revenue, that'd be tricky. But if you're just, if you're reviewing a shoe, discussing a shoe, it's part of the, the video, that's fine. If it's in the title of the video, maybe not. If it's in the title of your brand, your travel brand, if you're like Nike Adventures, right? Can't do that.
Timberland in the hinterland.
Right? Like really cute, really catchy. Timberland might be on board with that. They might be like, yeah, go for it. But until you get their permission to use their brand in your videos.
Very cool. Not. All right, let me blast through a final one here on the patent side. All right. Let's see. What is patent litigation? I love it. These Quora ones are just super high level.
I know the answer to that.
I give myself really easy softball ones. I give you really weird hinterland ones.
Yeah, no, you give me the easy ones. But you can give yourself the short ones, though.
I know. All right, what is patent litigation? Patent litigation is when one individual, an owner of a patent, has a right, has been granted the rights from the USPTO, the exclusivity being the only one to make, use, sell, or import that product into a U.S. or a country. When that individual, that owner, decides to enforce against a third party, they believe to be infringing the rights. And so 2 major types of patents. There's utility, which is the written words. You have to go see, is that infringer actually infringing each element, each word on that claim? Or if it's a design patent, does that three-dimensional shape look close enough? Is it similar enough so that an ordinary observer would say, yeah, that is the same as what was on the shape of this design patent? That's what starts litigation. You can threaten litigation. Most cases settle well before they go to trial, but that's what it is. That's litigation. And you can hire private attorneys, individual attorneys to do that. No, there is no USPTO, enforcement. There's no police, right? So whether you have a patent, doesn't matter. You're not going to have a judgment or any type of a enforcement body act on your behalf. You've got to go out there and do that work on your own.
Yep.
All right, let's bring on our guest. He's been waiting patiently while we ramble on about legal stuff. Scott McIntosh, welcome to the stage at Bold Inventor Show.
Hey, Scott.
All right. Thank you, Matt. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Doing good. Awesome. Thanks for being on our show, and certainly fit the bill as a bold inventor. You and I haven't actually had a chance to talk a little bit before our show. I want to hear a little bit about what you've got. Tell us about what the cell phone seat is, and maybe about the beginnings, how you got started.
Sure. So it's an idea, like you have them, right? Randomly, I'm driving in the neighborhood in my truck, and I put my phone in my cup holder, and my kid had had some gooey squeeze pack stuff in there. And my new phone, I'm looking at like, oh, this is disgusting. Why doesn't somebody invent a better thing? And it's like the idea just pops in my head in full of what it is, which is this is the pink version, but here's the device here. So I have this idea.
Oops, here we go. There we go.
Right there. So
nice. Okay. Describe it for the podcast listeners.
Sure. I give this to people like, what do you think it is? They're like, I don't know. They always try to put it on. It's a medical device. It's like, no, it's simple. You flex these rings, you shove it into your cup holder, you drop your phone in there like that. Boom, you got a place to put your phone while you drive. And the best part about it is it doesn't block your cup holder. You still can put your drink in there, right? So
genius.
That's the reaction we get a lot. Matt's face.
Cup holder. Because I was like, come on, man. Like I drive an old Audi. I got like one cup holder. I need that.
You can't block your cup holder, man. You can't block your cup holder, right? And you're driving with your partner or whatever, and one person's drinks in there and a coffee and a water. It's like you block the cup holder. It's like, where am I supposed to put my drink?
Right.
So idea pops in my head. I go home. I tell my wife I got an idea. She goes, no, you don't. And I was like, yeah, I do. I'm gonna look into it. And I draw it in paint. Or I tried to buy it first. I looked for it. I was like, this has to exist. And it didn't exist. I drew it in Microsoft Paint. It's horrible, right? I still have that original drawing.
Sweet.
And I got online and tried to find like a 3D printer, 3D designer that I could help me, get my cartoonish image into an actual product. I did find a kid at Grand Canyon. I probably shouldn't mention the university because he was like, I just did this for school and I have access to the 3D printing lab, and we can work on this together. So probably 2 years I worked with this student, right, paying him as a contractor, and we got it to the point where we liked it. At that point, I think I just I tried to do like a Kickstarter or something at that point, right? And I kind of let it go. The Kickstarter failed, as most do, because you had to put.
You didn't sell any, or tell us about that real quick. I've heard a lot of our clients talk about Kickstarter. So why did it fail in your mind?
Sure. So it's funny. I'm working on this, and I had a headache one night, and I grabbed something out of the pantry, and it was like Excedrin PM or no, it's just Excedrin or something. I didn't realize Excedrin has like 5,000 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Oh yeah. No.
And I'm taking like 9:30 at night fast forward to 4 a.m. I'm going crazy on Kickstarter, build this amazing campaign. But the problem with Kickstarter is, you have to have a really good traction day one. So people hit the site.
You almost have to do like the pre-Kickstarter campaign, right?
You do. And that's what the ad companies do. They sell you on. They literally will run ads for your product just to get email addresses to announce when it goes live, because you want everyone that you've ever met in your life to literally land on that page the day it goes live and donate or give money or whatever. So I emailed everybody I've ever met. Like I got my old Yahoo account from college and just like emptied out all the email addresses, emailed everybody, was like, hey, please, do this. And then I didn't get enough traction. And they want you to like run ads to really drive traffic to really get that. You really need to get a massive conversion that first day. And then it will promote it. And if it puts it on the front page of Kickstarter or promotes it with one of its emails, you potentially will do well. So I think I was trying to raise 10 grand. I think I raised like 3,500. So I kind of sat on it and didn't really do anything with it at that point. I don't remember if I did my early patent pending registration at that point. I'd have to look at the data, but I do remember that at one point I gave up on it, and then COVID happened, right? So COVID, now we're all sitting around, we can't leave, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, I'm going to revisit that. So got with the kid again. We made some more revisions. I think at that point I did file a patent pending.
You file a design or a utility? Do you remember?
Design.
Okay.
I filed a design patent pending, not knowing what I'm doing, right? No attorney's help. Did like one of those websites where you can file these things.
Yep.
And just and I think I just went that way because it was the easiest and cheapest. It was like, you can do a patent pending or you can do a full patent. I was like, well, I'll just do the patent pending because I don't know where this is going to go. Obviously my advice to inventors is, talk to an attorney, but, I'm a startup guy, entrepreneur guy. 99% of them have failed miserably. I've lost a lot of money. Luckily like one or two have actually made some money. But don't put too much into something. baby step it, because you never know what's going to take off, especially if you're an idea person. I've met people now that I do this. My taxi cab driver going to a conference to sell this in retail is like showing me his Invention book, right? That he keeps with him. And he's like, show me the pages at a distance because he won't want to steal the ideas. He's like, oh, and see, I have this. So revisit it, file the patent pending, and then actually got some money and built a tool, right? So if you guys don't know, the audience, what a tool is, that's what they call the big giant metal mold. You probably think of it more as a mold that they carve out your product inside of it. They put the mold together and they inject plastic into it, and they split the mold apart and your product pops out. That's called a tool. I don't know why they call it that, but anyway, so I had a tool made. It's very expensive to make a tool. I had the first one made in China. It was $9,900. And I had the next one made for the tool. Yeah. Plus once you make the tool, it's like 10 grand, right? Then it's like a couple bucks per unit. Right.
So before you got to that point, you had to hire some level of engineering, right? To go from CAD to engineering drawing.
So no, I still was working. Huh?
You hired the kid.
The kid. I had the kid. I had this awesome kid. Justin the kid, man. He was out there from out in Phoenix at his college. So he got to the point where we were 3D printing them. And I was doing professional 3D prints. He would 3D print them in the lab and they would come back, okay, we were testing it. Like the first one was like this big. And he was embarrassed to send it to me. He's like, I don't want to send it to you. I'm embarrassed. I was like, dude, send it to me. I got to know if it works. I didn't even know if it worked. And he sent it to me. And sure enough, it was like 3 pieces because he couldn't print it all in one because it was so big, right? And I get it. And I put it's all, janky. And I put it in my cup holder. And I put a drink in there. And I put my phone in there. And it worked. I was like, this concept works. So obviously we worked on it, got smaller, made changes, which took a while because I would make one little change, send it to him. 2 weeks later, in between midterms, he would send me the revised 3D file, and then I would order professional print. So in the 3D printing world, there's whole levels of quality, right? You can't just buy a 3D printer and expect something to come out like this. Like I had some local 3D printer groups print it for me because they could do it quicker, and I picked it up off the sidewalk, and it literally fell apart in my hand. So Shapeways was this awesome company. You could order about $80 a print, and you could print in different colors and different materials. They're defunct now. They went out of business. But that's who we would order the prints from. And we'd test it, and I would hand them out to people. And I finally got to the point where I really was happy with where it was. It pretty much looked like this without this tab. And that's when I got the tool in China. I happened to know a buddy who did stuff in China. He connected me with some people out there. I sent them the 3D file. And they said 10 grand for the tool and like $3 a unit, and we'll make you some. You need to order an additional amount. And I was like, all right, well, I'll order 5 grand. And I bought the tool, and it took a couple months. And they shipped me the first unit, right? How exciting was that? I'm sitting there waiting in the mail. Here it is. My invention shows up. I go and test it. It works great. And I hand it out to people for fun. And I list it on Amazon, and we actually start selling a little bit. And I'm like, okay, this has legs. And that's kind of was what I was doing. I was selling on Amazon a little bit. I had no idea what I was doing. And I went and talked to my old boss one day for lunch. And I said, hey, and I would hand these things out. So I'm having lunch with my old boss, and I kind of give him one on a whim. And he goes, this thing is fantastic. I love it. What are we going to do with this? He's like, I want to invest in this. And I was like, okay. So he was like, I'll call you. He's like, I'm doing some things, but I'll call you and I want to invest in this. I was like, okay. I wasn't sure if he was serious. So literally he texts me on a Saturday. I'm sitting like in my room, like half asleep Saturday afternoon. And he's like, hey, I'm ready to meet and invest in your invention. He's like, I use it every day. I love it. I go, okay. I'm free like next Thursday or maybe Wednesday. He goes, today. And I jump up and I get dressed and I rush to this bar where he hangs out. And if you guys are in the investor world, there's always like a restaurant or bar in each town where like the angel investors all hang out, right? And like in Green Hills, it's called Nashville. And then in Brentwood, it's this place called Judge Beans. It is this dive barbecue. It's got real attractive bartenders, right? So you get all these kind of grumpy old men that have made a lot of money are in there drinking domestic beers and just talking about investment. So I meet him there, and he's sitting at the table with a guy. And I'm have a bag of these things. And the guy at the table goes, well, what are you guys meeting about? And I was like, well, he wants to invest in my invention. And the guy goes, well, let me see it. And I pull one out of my bag and give it to the guy. I promise you, the guy looks at this. He looks at my old boss. He looks at me. He goes, I have this in my car. We're like, what? What are the chances? I've sold maybe 200.
Wow.
We go out, sure enough, he's got it in his car. He had gotten it.
You got 1,800 reviews on Amazon, Scott.
I know. Well, this was way before that. So I was part of an entrepreneur group, and one of the group leaders bought 100 of them because we could print logos on them. So she did it as like a giveaway. And that dude got one of them. So that it was so serendipitous. My boss was like, I was going to write you like a $7,000 check. He was like, I'm writing you a $25,000 check. He was like, this is amazing. He was like, this has shown me that this thing has legs. So he wrote me the check. And with that money, we went to an attorney. We actually found an attorney. I was like, all right, I need to patent this. So what do I need to do? And he's like, well, you need a design patent. And maybe he's like, I don't think you can get a utility patent. But he'll do the research. I was like, well, give me whatever I can. I just need something that can say patented. Because that's the first thing when you're an inventor, everyone asks you, right? You know, you go on like Shark Tank or something. They're like, is it patented? You know, you're like, give me something. Something I can say yes. So he worked at this. He was like, well, you've already launched this and introduced it to the market. He was like, you're not going to be able to patent it. I was like, well, I did file this weird thing. I think it's a patent pending. And he goes, okay. And sure enough, that saved me. It was like a month before that.
There's a 1-year grace period. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I barely made that grace period. And he was like, oh, man, you made it. You barely made it. So he did the design patent. And then we're selling, we're off and running. It was a totally small world, right? So as we take off more, we went after retail. That didn't really work out. I went to a lot of these shows and conferences around the world trying to sell it. And we're still waiting on our design patent to go through. And then our design patent went through like that October, like a year later or so. And then somebody's like, you got to do TikTok. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to do a social media platform. Please. I'm not dancing on TikTok. Dude, 6 months later, I swear I'm dancing on TikTok. I mean, so we went viral on TikTok. Yeah. Just as a joke, I was like, I'm not going to dance for you guys. Then I did a little dance, but we went real viral on TikTok. I mean, we got real lucky. We like 50 million views on some of our videos. I mean, we blew up TikTok. We were one of the first products on TikTok shop where you can buy actually from TikTok. And that blew up our Amazon account. I mean, we had a limit because we were a new shop of 200 units a day max, and we'd hit that by noon. So I don't know how much sales I lost because of that stupid limit. Because if that limit was off, we would have sold probably 600 units a day, which is like $10,000 a day. Wow. So it was awesome. We thought, oh my gosh, we've made it. And this went on for like 2 or 3 months. And then all of a sudden sales went to nothing. I was like, what happened?
How long ago was that? Like 2023 or 2024? 2023.
So March, we got on TikTok shop. So November 2022 is when we actually started with TikTok. And I hired a girl that did a video. It's funny. I hired a marketing firm to help, and they didn't do any of their promises. It went real bad, but it made me do it. So I got on Upwork and I hired like 5. They called them UGCs. I didn't know what a UGC was, but I was like, I need a UGC, right? Which now I know is I can't even say the name. Somebody say it in the audience. What's a UGC? User-generated content, right? Okay. Which doesn't make sense to call somebody a UGC, but that's what they said. So I hired 5 UGC video creators. I was like, I'll give you $500. I want 5 TikTok reels promoting my product. I'll send you the product, right? And I had everyone. I picked a couple people. They accepted my offer, but one girl pushed back. One girl said, no, I want $1,000 and I'll give you 3 videos. And I was like, interesting. So I went on her account, and sure enough, she had a couple videos with like 1 million views. And so I was like, all right, you get it. So it's funny. She made 3 videos. One video, the first video she did, went super viral. And I used that same video, and it's like not even great. Like the packaging's ripped in it. Her phone's all nasty, not even clean. Her car's not even clean. It's just kind of, but that's TikTok, right? It's real gritty. So her video went real viral. I ran that same video, dude, and it's like 15 seconds for years. I mean, years. I could run that video, and it guaranteed to get like a 2 to 3 time return on ad spend every time I ran it. It was awesome. It's finally fatigue at this point. I can't run it anymore, but all right. So we went viral on TikTok. Sales took off. This happened around March. We went on the shop. I was doing live shows. You have to go live, which is just, I was like, what? I got to go live on TV. So I'm doing these hour-long live shows where I'm talking about the product, kind of like this. You know, you got to repeat yourself every 10 seconds because people drop off. So I'm like, this is it, blah, 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 blah. Hey, oh yeah, comment. Oh, this is this, blah, blah, blah. You know, for like an hour. And my wife's in the kitchen, like looking at me. She's like, how are you doing that? I was like, I need coffee. I can't. I'd be selling well on the show and my throat would get so dry. I was like, I got to go, guys. But so March, we really took off. April went crazy. I'm like, we've made it. I'm rich. I'm going to be a billionaire. I mean, this is it. I was like, this is it. I was like planning trips. I was canceling my other job clients. I was like, I don't really feel like doing that work anymore. May was just as great. June, something happened. The sales stopped, and I was kind of like, what happened? So I Googled our name, which I hadn't done in like 2 months. I Googled cell phone seat, 66 versions of it for sale on eBay. And I was like, what? I was like, well, that's not my product, is it? And then all of a sudden I saw it on Walmart and then other Amazon sellers, Xingjing from China was selling it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Counterfeit.
I was like,
counterfeit goods.
Counterfeit.
Right?
They're all counterfeit. They're all counterfeit.
So they all counterfeit from that one mold you sent those guys years ago?
No, great question. I know for sure because I've ordered all the counterfeits I know, and they don't match our original mold. And I've talked to those guys. That mold is still sitting there, collecting dust. So I go online and I was like, all right, I've got 66 counterfeits selling. And dude, they take your imagery. They take your name. They took everything. They took the video, the crappy video, right? That went crazy. They were using that. My wife's hands in all the pictures. And I'm like, you're the most famous hand model online right now because the pictures are everywhere. So I found an attorney. I was like, eBay patent attorney or eBay counterfeit listing, where I found this guy. And I email him and he goes, all right, I can take that listing. I can take a listing down on eBay. It's $1,000. And I emailed back. I was like, per listing. I was like, I've got 66. And he sends me this almost immediate reply that's like, I am not your attorney. I cannot help you. Do not contact me again. Okay. Like it was like one of those like, oh, I can't help this guy. So I'm going to legally make sure I use the right language.
Conflict of interest, perhaps, something like that. That's my guess.
Maybe. So I didn't know what to do, man. I'm pulling my hair out like all summer. I'm freaking out. We got counterfeits all over. Sales are dropping. We can't get into retail. Finally, I found a company out of London called Brand Shield that has software that scans listings all around the world and takes them down almost immediately. They took down all the eBay listings in like one hit.
Brand Shield?
Brand Shield. They have a direct API connection to all these marketplaces, right? So they can take down websites. Dude, it was awesome. They took them all down. So it's like once they establish your brand on the platform, then they just hit a button and it wipes out all the counterfeiters. Now, but then it just became whack-a-mole, and it's still whack-a-mole. Like even today, I have 2 Chinese sellers that have hijacked my ASIN, my Amazon listing, and I can't get them off. And at this point, I have 2 design patents and a utility patent all registered. I've got 4 trademarks, and I've got copyrights and all the imagery. I'm
going to show your website. So real quick for our audience, what's the split in terms of your revenue versus your own site and Amazon?
Sure. Revenue, our website revenue margins are about 80%. Amazon, it's more like it's 50. It's right at like 50.
Well, just total revenue percentage.
The split between the two. Do you sell more on Amazon or your own?
The margins. Amazon's our biggest revenue right now. Amazon is our number 1 generator of revenue. TikTok has really slowed down. Maybe we'll sell like 2 a day on TikTok. Amazon, at one point on Amazon, we were selling 50 to 100 a day.
That's awesome.
So I hired. It was awesome. I hired a guy that could, and we run an ad every 3 weeks on Motor Trend. But I hired a guy on Upwork again that was an Amazon optimizer, and I was looking at the Amazon account. I had set it up years ago. I'd had some people go in there and fix some stuff, but it just didn't look good. And I had this guy go in there, and we went from selling 20 a day to selling like 60. Which, guys, I mean, you're selling $30 a unit. I mean, that's a massive increase in revenue. Sure. So I got excited about Amazon. He optimized it really well, and it lasted about 3 months. And then again, the counterfeiters came in, man, and they're all out of China.
Right.
China's a great
so it's
country.
still happening. This is still happening. You constantly have to kind of keep evolving it and monitor
every day. Brand Shields. Like when I run a commercial, we'll get another wave in. I can't get rid of AliExpress right now. The problem is when people buy the crappy one, which is real cheap, thin plastic, it doesn't work really well. Then they go review my product on Amazon and give me a 1-star review. And they even show videos. And I'm telling Amazon, I'm like, that's the counterfeit. Like, that's not actually my product.
Amazon doesn't even allow you as the brand owner to respond to them anymore.
They do not. Right. I cannot respond to any reviews. I can only flag it, or I can send a ticket to Amazon saying, this review is fake. You have to take it down. It's not my real product. And they deny me every time.
Yeah.
So long-term solution might be finding a single source, if there is one at, back in China.
I know the source.
Lawsuits
I know the factory.
In China, right?
You know the factory.
So 1688 is a website. So you have Alibaba. So you have AliExpress, right, which is products sold direct to consumers, and typically they're counterfeit or just knockoffs or maybe just products coming out of China. Then you have Alibaba, which is where large bulk buyers go to buy in bulk directly from Chinese factories. So we found the majority of the counterfeit factories on Alibaba. And the cool thing is you can see how many they sold. But then I hired a girl in China on Upwork. And I was like, can you help me keep track? And then she says, oh, you're not looking at the right website. She was like, there's a sister to Alibaba called 1688. And it's all written in Chinese. So I can't even search it. And we found it. Like the one that was selling the most, I could not find the factory making it. There's two. There's one that's solid, but there's another factory that makes one that actually is 2 pieces. And you buy them and you put them together. I could not for the life of me find that one. 1688 found it. There's been over 300,000 counterfeits sold between 1688 and Alibaba out of China. Wow. And the problem is, it's a ton. It's a huge loss for me. Not that I would have sold that many because my price point is much higher, but problem is and I don't know this for sure, but I think this is how this system is working behind the scenes. You've got like one of those courses to get rich, and somebody sees one of these courses online, and the person says, all right, you grab this software called Helium, look at the best-selling products on Amazon, then click on this link in Helium, which takes you to the Alibaba website and shows you how to buy the product from China. And then you relist it, and you can use their pictures and their images and things like that. And don't worry, you're not going to get in trouble. There's nothing they're going to be able to do, and sell it yourself. So sure enough, that's what I think is happening. Like so here's actually the craziest story. A girl I went to high school with was selling a counterfeit on Poshmark. And I found it randomly one day.
I wouldn't think that this would be on Poshmark, but yeah, okay.
What's Poshmark? I'm sorry. What is this?
Poshmark is a website marketplace. It's tailored to women so they can sell their old clothes. It's basically lets women create a closet that they sell clothes out of. But you're right. It's like, why is she selling cell phone seats? So I actually emailed her. I was like, hey, we went to high school together. I was like, hey, I saw this listing on your Poshmark. Is this the cell phone seat? And she said, yes, it is. And I ordered it. I didn't say anything yet. I'm building a case, right? I'm building this case. And so now I have her actually, what's the legal word I'm looking for, where she's incriminated herself.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Willful, right. There you go. So willful, I ordered it. Sure enough, I filmed myself opening the box. This is the counterfeit. It doesn't say made in America on it. It doesn't say cell phone seat on it. I call the local police and I say, hey, I want you to go serve this woman that's breaking the intellectual property law. I looked, ChatGPT AI, I got this whole list of laws she was breaking, right? And the cop was like, she's just reselling a product that she bought from you. She can do that. I was like, she's not. It's a counterfeit, I promise. He's like, no, she's just reselling something she bought from you. I was like, dude, what do I need to do here? He's like, you can drive down. And she was in Memphis, so it was a 3-hour drive. So I literally almost drove to Memphis to like go into the sheriff's department or whatever and file a case against her. And then I thought about, contacting the news and because she's like an elementary school teacher and being like, because she was selling Reebok and stuff too. And I bet that was knockoff, and finally I just had a lot of anger pent up about it because I've lost so much. Again, flashback to me thinking I've made it. I'm a billionaire. And now it's like I'm struggling, right, to even make it because of these counterfeiters. But I just let it go. I think she's seen some get rich quick show and she's done this. And that's why I think a lot of these are popping up. I think I feel bad for the people that buy like 10 of these from AliExpress for $2 and then try to list them on eBay and we take them down the next day. Right now they're stuck with these 10 units. Dude, I had one guy using my imagery on TikTok and I took him down, and I get these apology emails too, which is great. I read these apology emails. But his was aggressive. He was like, I have the right to use these photos. The website I bought them for told me I did. And I was like, well, give me the website. And he gave me the website. It's just some counterfeit Chinese website that he
using your photos,
using my products and using my imagery.
What about?
I didn't steal your photos. I stole photos from those people who were stealing your photos.
So, I mean, Apple's in the news about this, where customs helps them, or the opposite, right? People that are they're infringing smaller hardware within like the O2 sensors, and they're stopping those watches at the border through customs. Have you looked into ITC proceedings and trying to get the customs agents to help you in this regard with your design patent, saying anything regarding this? How did that go?
So I had a Chinese copyright made, which to my knowledge is basically the look and feel of it is copyrighted. So the manufacturers cannot make something that looks and feels like that. Almost kind of like a design patent. I could be totally off here. This is what my attorney had told me. And supposedly with that, I could seize products at customs. I did look into going to the international court and filing for them and getting that capability, because then it was I had a problem where I could not get a listing off of Amazon. So
you can actually register your rights with CBP, right? The Border Patrol. You can order it with e-recordation. We don't represent clients, but that's something you can do on your own or with there's an agent to help you. But they could issue an exclusion order on any products that are similar. Maybe an avenue for you to look into.
How do they know though? It's like, how do they and I used to work in the Navy and did anti-narcotics.
Yeah, typically like the factory that's producing it and their address, and then anything that comes through that has that name or that address on it gets flagged for review quick.
I love it. All right, I'll do that, guys.
I'll
do
that.
They
can change the address too, right? So
what's that?
You can just change the address too, but you might catch 100,000 coming through at once, and
that'd be awesome. That's actually a really good idea. What's funny is like I order these counterfeits because sometimes they make me order it just to prove that it's the counterfeit, and I get the shipping addresses, and a lot of times it's the same shipping address. It's in like Tahoma, Washington, and I can't find their number, but I can Google the address, and I called the number, and I got a hold of this girl, and I was like, "Hey, this is weird, but I'm getting counterfeit products from your address." She's like, "Oh, it's the guys next door." She was like, "They don't have a number, but I get called all the time." I was like, "Well, what do they do in there?" She's like, "I don't know, but all I see is boxes coming in and out of there." So I called the police up to home. I was like, "Hey, there's a counterfeiting operation happening. Here's the address." And they just don't, they don't care. They don't care. Nobody cares. And with the CBP, it's like, I don't know that I drive that much attention or awareness to where people just don't care. And these people that steal my images and my name and everything, they just get taken down and it doesn't really affect them at all. So there's no legal implementations. To me, it's like, how much money have I lost? I would be so scared doing this, right? How much money have I lost due to your listing? Like you're liable to me for that revenue, but what am I going to do? Pay $20,000 to take them to court? And
I'd
be like
a built-in expense on your P&L almost. So, I mean, let's say, given that, would you be willing to offer? Are you still profitable with this invention, even though you've got to combat this ongoing infringers, copycatters?
So we've done over $2 million in sales in 3 years, and I took a very small salary. Otherwise, no, we have not been profitable due to just all the legal work, changing the imagery, registering things. A lot of that money, though, has been advertising, like putting money into ads,
it's expensive, isn't it?
It's expensive, and changing things for Amazon, changing packaging to like fit Amazon better, to work better. You're making like $1,000 a day at one point. And you're like, well, I can spend $10,000 to redo the packaging, but then like 30 days later, you're making $100 a day, and you're like, oh no. It's really hard to plan. It's been really hard to plan with Amazon and the counterfeits. I really think we've created, through our viral videos on TikTok, this whole cup holder phone mount market on Amazon.
That's cool.
That's been crazy. But I did So we used to rank number 1 for if you searched cup holder, phone holder on Amazon. How's my time? Am I running over?
Yeah, so, we're wrapping this segment up. We've got one more minute. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So I registered the term. I registered cup holder, phone holder as a registered trademark. I'm waiting for that to go through. But Amazon, you can get brand registry for a pending trademark. So I was able to get registry on Amazon for that. And then I started taking down the Chinese counterfeiters that used that term in their title. I took down like 60 a day because Amazon gave me that mark. And finally, Amazon told me to stop doing that. I was like, come on, man. I was like, I'm finally getting a win here.
Yeah.
Stop doing
that. That's what you talk about all the time, Matt, is this brand registry, right? That's what he just said. Is that what you're talking
brand
about?
registry,
So it's authority. And it's sort of, a de facto, or, they don't even need to look at it. You've already got this basis.
Well, they still have to look at it. Brand registry only allows you to submit it to them. And again, like Matt was saying earlier, with the current trademark office, it's like, what have I got? A 21-year-old, and not that there's anything wrong being 21. I'd love to be 21, but I've got a 21-year-old sitting in Seattle looking at my design patent, comparing it to the Chinese copyright, which, by the way, there's no question. It looks exactly like this, right? If the design patent's going to hold, it's going to be this thing. And the kid says, no, I don't see the match. And I'm like, pulling my hair out. So there's still no guarantee that you're going to get. They do have a program called Project Zero, which if you get Project Zero access, you can take down without asking, but they make it impossible to get Project Zero access. And I can tell you that in another episode, how they do that.
Let's do that. Let's have you back on talk about Project Zero. Scott, I want to thank you for your time. That story is extremely valuable for our listeners. I enjoyed it. If anyone out there wants to get a hold of you, can I share your info email address and they can get a hold of you? Yeah. All right. And again, I'm going to have you stay on for our next segment, which is a Shark Tank critique. But again, thank you for that, for your time.
Thanks. And thanks for the CBP advice, guys. I used to work with those guys and doing anti-narcotics in the Navy. They're a good group. So
yeah, I think it'd be worth reaching out. It's a pretty quick form to fill out and can't hurt.
Yeah. There it is. Info at cellphones.com. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep you on. If you go on mute, we're going to go to our next segment. I'm going to share my screen and video, and we'll watch a Shark Tank clip and then give our IP critique. All right.
Next up is a way to bring a little frivolous fun to your daily life.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Brian Brunsing, and I'm from Buffalo, New York.
I'm Max Brown, also from Buffalo, New York. We're seeking $250,000 for 10% of our company. Sharks, there are 3 well-known problems that need to be fixed when it comes to the 9-to-5 work life. 1, it's too boring.
And 2, with all the constant push notifications, emails, and text messages, establishing real human connection is almost impossible.
And 3, and this one's universal,
there's just not enough fun in the world, and that's bananas.
That's why we created Banana Phone.
Banana Phone is a banana-shaped Bluetooth handset that connects to your smartphone so you can talk to your friends, family, or the IRS on a banana. We like to think of it as a phone with appeal.
Baked into this delicious design is everything you need to spark real conversations. Once paired with your smartphone, this robust banana is ready to receive calls at the push of a button. Yellow. Or you can initiate calls by clicking the multi-function button twice and saying, call the banana man.
Calling Mark Cuban. You can also show off your wild side by bumping your favorite tunes by using your banana phone as a speaker. And we banana split a portion of our proceeds with the gorilla conservation Gearing Up for Gorillas. It's potassium with a purpose.
I'll tell you, it's more than I thought.
When was it?
For $1.6 million in lifetime sales, $400,000 in net income.
What did you do last year?
Last year was $540,000 in sales. Net income last 12 months was $123,000.
I gotta tell you, it's more than I thought.
When was a moment? In 2016, I was sitting at my desk with a banana in my hand, trying to blow off a colleague saying I'm really busy. And I said, oh my God, this has to exist. After a quick Google search, I realized that it didn't. And after a quick Instagram search, I realized that there were 45,000 other people who were making that joke at the same time. And there's a shark in this room who's made that joke as well. Oh, Barb. Oh, yeah, I use it all the
Do you
time.
remember that, Barbara?
But that's a
Tell us
very
what
broad
it
net.
costs if I want to buy it online and what it costs you to land it.
So this nanner costs $39.99 retail.
Oh, that's a big banana.
Our landed cost is $6 a unit.
Do you have a patent?
We did not pursue a design patent because
What?
they're notoriously easy to copy and to knock off. So we pursued a trademark to protect our brand.
But Max, just to be clear, it's not a phone.
No,
you need
that's
to pair
It
with a
pairs.
phone.
Pairs
You
with
just
your-
pair your banana to your apple. Thank
Got
you,
it.
Robert.
Guys, let me ask you this. You did 540,000 last year. Your total lifetime sales over 6 years were 1.2. What shifted to get your sales to go boom?
In the last 2 years, we've shifted to a robust direct-to-consumer advertising strategy, leveraging Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google. It sounds very expensive. How much are you spending on that?
We're spending $9 per customer.
Is that your customer acquisition? Is $9?
What we are seeing is that we hit people with targeted advertising for high impulse conversions. And then when they get the phone, there's a virality to it because they're posting on social media.
But nobody's full time on this business.
Correct. Not
Are
right
you
now.
willing to give up your careers to support the banana? That's the question.
If we have a strategic partner who's willing to work with us and leverage it, absolutely. One reason only, which is I don't want you working on this part-time. 1/2 and 1/2 doesn't equal 3. Right? It will not grow if you do that. It doesn't make sense. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, guys. Good luck,
Thank you
guys.
all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
No deal for the banana.
No deal.
No deal. Matt, we'll get your take on the trademark. Obviously, they didn't go for a patent, but I've got a little story after we hear from you on the trademark.
Yeah, no, they have a bunch of trademark registrations for banana phone.
Okay.
Obviously, phone is descriptive. Banana's kind of descriptive too, like in terms of like the shape, right? The functionality, but it doesn't function as a banana, right? So it's not descriptive, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute, but I can understand why no one wanted to invest in it.
Yeah, certainly novelty. Good.
Novelty, too much novelty.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why they didn't pursue a design patent or a patent at all is because it had been done before. I don't know how good of a job he did searching, but way back when, in 2015, there was a little patent that was filed, design patent right here. The banana tooth was filed.
Wow.
This was in 2012, and I'm actually surprised that they haven't got a letter from the banana tooth owners. Divination design, Invention design. So this is a design patent. It's there's really no words here, much like probably what you have.
Yeah, I would say just layman test, ordinary observer test. Those two look pretty identical to me.
They really do. And on the update from the Shark Tank, they've done better than the Sharks thought they would. Real quickly, their banana phone reached revenue of $1 million at the end of 2022. They sold it, and he stepped away in 2023. Max is still on as the CEO and founder.
Cool.
And they're selling right here still for $40 a phone without that other patent holder coming after them. So I'm really surprised they've been able to kind of get by. Maybe they did an under the table licensing agreement, which is probably the case, but there's been nothing published. I took a quick look.
Interesting.
Anything regarding any kind of infringement allegations or lawsuit filed?
Are you two Arrested Development fans?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
No.
I will make the banana stand joke.
Yeah, I like that. I like Arrested.
Oh, you like it? Yeah. So there's always money in the banana stand, right, JD?
Yeah, there is. Scott, what's your take? This product, not as functional as yours, perhaps, but what do you think they could have done better on this pitch? Or what would you do in a pitch like that?
Yeah, it's a tough pitch because there's only so much time they're going to get with that Facebook, Instagram kind of advertising. They have a fantastic return, that $9. I mean, I used to get that. I think a lot of people were getting that, from early 2018 to 2022. That's a change. You can't get that anymore. It's really any product price below 40 is kind of hard to get a good margin on Facebook, Instagram. I think retail novelty stores checkout, at the cash register checkout probably would have been, hey, we want some help to go into retail, work on packaging, get us into these stores. Now, obviously, they're going to get what's called the Shark Tank effect, right? They get $6 million in a Shark Tank airing is worth about $6 million. So that's probably what put them over the limit to that $1 million when they had that nice boost. And, the Sharks know that too, filming the show. They know that if it airs, there's going to be a nice boost to that. But what's that?
Consolation gift.
Yeah.
If they don't get an investor.
And they'll sign the deal knowing that. But I think, it was they probably could have branched out, done some other type of products with that. I was surprised at the sale more than double net revenue. That should have been a 5X or a 10X on net. I mean, they should have sold for much more than what that stated. So it sounds like they sold quick just to get rid of it. My question is, does that patent divinity or whoever the patent, could they come back and sue the original founders even now that they're done and say, look, you made money off this, or we own all this, we should get money? Or can they only go after the acquiring company, or how does all that work?
Depends on between the buyer and the seller. Yeah.
What was it?
Just depends on the contract between the buyer and the seller of the business, if their liability imputes to the new owner.
Yeah, I'm not a patent litigator, and I would assume that a lot of time has passed. There may be some limitations in terms of damages that they can assert. The system the patent doesn't want to reward you for sitting back and waiting for damages to accrue, and so because they sort of sat back and maybe waited and didn't assert their rights, that could hurt them on their case. But aside from that, they definitely they seem to really be infringing. I thought that was fascinating that a product could come out and really right in the face of another design patent.
You're sitting on that patent. Where's your value, right? It's like, that show is so viral. I can't believe that a patent filed in 2018, which again, you get the patent.
2012.
Oh, was it 2012? Okay.
Issued in 2015. Issued in 2012. Still good for 15 years. Good through 2027.
Yeah.
Oh, that was wild. It's wild how exactly similar that was.
Yeah. 7 years later, they're not making any money off this because they're not selling it. So it's like, here's your opportunity to finally make money off this patent you got, and you didn't either. Let's not know about it.
Yep. Very good. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up for today. Again, Scott, thank you for your time. Matt, as always, you for all you out there watching. We'll catch us live next week, Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific. We'll see you next time. Go big, go bold.